Check it out. We've got not one, not two, but 3 National Teachers of the Year in the studio today. Kurt Russell is the 2022 National Teacher of the Year. Rodney Robinson held that very prestigious honor in 2019, and Sarah Brown Wessling in 2010. Please join me in welcoming Kurt, Rodney, and Sarah to the South by Southwest EDU studio. Hi, guys.
Hey. Hello.
Hey. Wow, teachers are my favorite. You guys are awesome. So I can't believe we're joined by 3 National Teachers of the Year. Can you tell us about your experience and how have some of the highlights been?
Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Kurt.
You sure? You go first.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and it's just an honor to be with these 2 marvelous teachers. This year has been nothing but spectacular. Just meeting different people, traveling, really speaking about my body of work, making sure more diversity within the classroom, in the curriculum, and just been an honor just to represent the millions of fabulous teachers out there.
Okay. Any special highlights that are memorable for either of you? Other than getting to come to the EDU studio. Oh my gosh.
Of course.
Just meeting so many phenomenal teachers around the country. It's just so inspiring to see the good work that's being done. We live in an age where not all the great things are being publicized, but to see that was really amazing.
So how has winning helped your agendas?
No, personally, it has been very fortunate of me to really express the need of having a more diverse curriculum. And as I travel this country, I noticed that more and more teachers are including stories of marginalized groups in the classroom. And that has really made me excited about the future of education today.
Yeah, so I'm kind of like the oldest, I'm the oldest one of the group here, the most veteran one. And so my experience was back in 2010, so I'm, quite a ways away from it. But it's always kind of with you. Like, it doesn't ever leave you. And I will say one of the most compelling things for me was, I spent the year working with teachers, learning from teachers, and I just felt more compelled than ever to go and figure out how to be a better teacher myself. And I think that's what I've spent the last 13 years trying to do, is trying to figure out, like, how can I, honor all of the teachers I learned from by figuring out how to be a better one.
So your panel discussion will be a real talk about the profession and teaching today. What is the state of teaching in 2023? What are some of the biggest challenges that you see now? I mean, we are coming out of some crazy times. So teaching has clearly changed since you got your award to when they have theirs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we're dealing with unprecedented level of teacher satisfaction due to various needs, lack of pay, students' needs not being met, the frustration that goes with seeing things that need to be done, but fighting the bureaucracy to get it done. And so we're seeing an unprecedented level of teacher dissatisfaction. And so I think it's really important for the country to realize we're at a tipping point and we need to look at this as a national emergency, because I often say that having a proper teaching workforce is a national security issue. And I really think we need to take heed and listen to the teachers and figure out how can we solve these issues that are prevalent in today's education.
So how can communities and districts support teachers?
I think by empowering teachers, treating teachers like the experts that we are in the classroom, giving us a voice. When policies are being made, teachers need to sit at the table, belonging at the table, making sure that what is happening in the classroom is being expressed locally, statewide, and even nationally.
Include the stakeholders.
Yes.
And I think it's also important to recognize and celebrate the amazing work that teachers are doing, despite all of the things that are difficult, because it's easy to only hear that one narrative. And we have amazing teachers doing incredible heart work, all of the time. And so making sure that we also elevate those stories is important to the larger conversation.
It really is hard work.
Yeah.
And I feel like a little positive reinforcement goes so much further. It does for me. So Kurt, you were inspired to teach by a black male teacher of yours. Can you talk
Yes.
to us about the benefits of having more teachers that look like the students in the classrooms?
Wow, great question. Mr. Larry Thomas. Mr. Larry Thomas, my 8th grade math teacher. And the one thing that I always say about this story, I cannot honestly remember if he taught me algebra, geometry, but he showed me what a professional looked like. His demeanor, his personality, how he's greeted every single student that walked through his doors each and every day. And the one thing that is a takeaway from Mr. Thomas is how he handled himself during difficult times. And I really model myself after Mr. Thomas. But the one thing that's so important about having a diverse teaching force is that it shows the need of really empowering students. Students, a wealth of knowledge, different experiences that teachers bring to the classroom is so needed. And each teacher is different. Each teacher have a different story, but all teachers are inspiring. Doesn't matter your race, gender, color. It's just so empowering just to have someone that looks like you in the classroom, and even someone that does not look like you still can learn from because you are learning from their culture and their experiences.
So how do you encourage more black men to become teachers?
That's $1 million question.
Yes.
I think it starts with creating better experiences for black males in school. You know, so often they're the group that's the most targeted when it comes to disproportionate discipline, disproportionate academic expectations. I think if we start by letting them know that school is a place for them, school is a place where you can be loved, where you can see as a career, then that's the biggest recruitment thing we can do to get more black males in education.
Yeah, make it a good job. People are going to want to get it.
Yes.
And it's not only the responsibility of black male educators to grow that particular pipeline, right? It is all of our responsibility, and I think we all have a part in, in that work.
Sarah, you say, I didn't choose to be a teacher, I was meant to be one. Can you tell us about the realization? How do you feel that most good teachers have an innate ability?
Yeah, so I do think that it wasn't like a decision that I made. It was a realization I had. I fought it for a little while. I went through a period of time I didn't want to be like my mom, who also was a teacher for 30 years in the 4th grade classroom. Now I'm perfectly happy to be like her.
Go Mom!
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it was definitely a realization, I think, of something that I must have always known. And I think that is true for a lot of people. But I also think people come to this work from different pathways. Kurt talks about how he was very inspired by a particular teacher. He saw himself in that person. Rodney came to this work in a lot of ways, because of his incredible mother, who inspired him. And so I think that there are lots of pathways, and making sure that we make room and space for all of those stories is just so important.
So, Rodney, you taught inside a juvenile detention facility. How did that experience shape you as a teacher? What'd you learn?
I learned so much about students and so much about what we get wrong when dealing with students that come from traumatic backgrounds. And quite often, prison is the end of their story. I tried to let them know that, hey, this is a reset. This is a moment for you to reset and get on the right path to take advantage of your second chance. But it really taught me about the pitfalls of the school to prison pipeline. It taught me about how we need to use more trauma-informed practices in our school. It taught me about how to advocate systemically for societal change that is necessary for my students to be successful. So I learned way more from them than they learned from me.
You talked about the importance of showing love to incarcerated kids and all students. How do you do that?
I mean, love is love. Just, show kids you care for them, you care for their well-being, you care for their dreams, their hopes, their family. That's really what it's about to any kid, not just incarcerated kids, suburban kids, urban kids. Just make them feel a sense of belonging, a sense of support, a sense that when you walk in this room, whatever you want to do, whatever your dreams are, I will support that. And when you establish that sort of culture, anything is possible in education.
So Black history and critical race theory have been used as political footballs of late. What is your message to politicians and parents who attack Black history or critical race theory?
Stop it.
Yes.
It's just
Yes.
it's the politics of old, the easiest way to gin up support is to go with that tried and true method of attacking marginalized folks and getting those people to agree with you. And it's really upsetting that the biggest bullies we have in school now are the legislators, are the different people around the country who see students as political points, as punching bags, rather than establishing that environment of care and love that we talked about.
And let's be honest, we do not teach, right, CRT, those dark whistles. As a history teacher, my responsibility is to provide my students with facts, right? Sexism occurred in this nation, racism occurred in this nation, and then allow my students to formulate some opinions and some thought process as we take this journey together.
Okay, so parent groups are becoming increasingly vocal and active in shaping what is taught in the classrooms. What's the best way for schools to de-escalate some of that friction and work together?
I think to be open, right?
Yeah.
To make sure we have a dialogue with our community members, because they are stakeholders. Making sure that parents know what is being taught in the school, not necessarily lesson plans given out every single day. I'm not speaking about that, but I am speaking about transparency, making sure that my parents know that I teach African American history class. I teach race, gender, and oppression class. And these are the topics that I'm teaching in order to help my students to develop and to grow.
I like the dialogue that comes from a place of education
Yes.
rather than just crisis.
Yes.
I think it's also important to let parents know that your rights as a parent do not infringe upon the other parents' rights, upon students' rights. It's all fun to advocate for your kid because that's what you're supposed to do, but you should never infringe on anyone else's rights while doing that.
Sarah, we like the Ask Sarah column that you write on the website. What are some of your favorite questions lately? And what's your advice about it?
So I feel like I get questions from teachers like all of the time, actually. That's kind of the work. I think most recently, some of the questions that I've been getting from teachers that really resonate are ones about like how they can take care of themselves. Like how do you show up as your full self, in the midst of difficult times. And I think, one of the best ways for teachers to do that is to make sure that they establish their own boundaries, to make sure that they have a core group of other professionals that they can really rely on, and to make sure that they have those opportunities just to feel really authentic, and be sure that, when they're in their classrooms, that they have the opportunity to do their best work. And that comes with advocacy, and you can't do that all by yourself.
And when you love your job and you love yourself,
Yeah.
you can give love to them.
Yeah.
All right. So, Rodney, you recently testified on behalf of legislation to establish a national $60,000 minimum salary for teachers. What's your message to politicians weighing this issue?
Get with it.
Get with it.
I mean, we talked about it earlier. It's a national security issue, and right now our profession is hemorrhaging. Teachers are leaving at unprecedented rates, and so one of the main things is that teachers are underpaid. So we can easily solve that by just giving teachers a livable wage. Teachers should not have to work second and third jobs just to pay their bills. And so this is a great idea put forth by Congresswoman Wilson, and all the other politicians need to get on it, because right now we need this. You know, we're asking for a living wage.
Yes.
That's all we're asking for, and so we need the living wage, and that is just a start into keeping teachers in the classroom and keeping our profession viable.
You are too important. I want to leave it at that. Pay teachers and living wage. I think they should get a living well wage.
Yes,
All right,
I agree.
Sarah, Rodney, Kurt, I appreciate you guys coming to the studio today.
No
I feel
problem.
honored to be here with
No
you.
problem.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much.
And you can always watch all of our studio interviews on the South by Southwest EDU TV app and at our YouTube channel, youtube.com at South by Southwest EDU. Missed a slash in there. Put that in the middle. I'm your host, Kari Byron. Please stay tuned for more exclusive interviews from the South by Southwest EDU studio.